welcome back to Child Speaks, where I speak on things related to politics, motivation, um, encouragement, and things relating to the culture. And today I have a special guest. His name is Thomas, and we are going to be speaking about things relating to what's going on surrounding the police. So it's going to be an interesting show. Thomas is going to tell us a little bit about himself. He is the son of a retired police officer. So, Thomas, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on, Chaz. A good opportunity here to just kind of go through a few things and discuss some matters that are going on in our country. I'm like Chaz says, I'm Thomas. I'm from Miami, Florida. I'm the son of a retired police officer. My dad, Miami-Dade County, he was a police officer for 17 years. He was injured in the line of duty, and that's one of the reasons why he had to retire. I was actually the one that actually put his badge on him when he graduated from the police academy. So that's something that's very, very near and dear to me. I do back the blue. I know we have many that don't, especially in our community, or blacks and even some whites. However, I was raised differently, so I do back the blue. And being raised by a police officer, you kind of see things different. Especially being black. And I know everyone doesn't have that experience, but it's something I am thankful for.
So, being raised by a police officer and seeing everything that's going on right now, how do you feel about the what's going like with the George Floyds, the Breonna Taylors, the Rashard Brooks? How do you I mean, I know that I think the media is complicit in not giving out all the information, but
Mhm.
when you see something like that happens, what is the first thing that you do with an officer involved shooting?
Well, one of the first things I do, because I have this privilege, I always either talk to my dad or there's a few other officers that I know. But the problem is when you see it, just like you said, the media is complicit in this stuff. You're not given all the information. So sometimes I have to wait and kind of just let the dust settle, like for George Floyd. I mean, I think we saw the second half of the body cam footage, months later? Now, when I initially saw it, I'm looking at this like, oh, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why is this guy on the ground and why is this police officer, why is his knee on his back? And a natural reaction is, you may have a little emotion, that kind of revs up in you. Then you just kind of press pause and say, okay, he didn't just wake up and just go to his house, pull him out, throw him on the floor and put his knee on his back and kill the man. So we need to let the facts roll out. And facts roll out. And, obviously George Floyd didn't need to die there. I mean, I do understand that. However, when you watch the tape, the second part, and you're saying to yourself, man, George, why not just get arrested and just go do a couple nights in jail? I mean, you can hear George Floyd sitting up and saying he can't breathe. And then you find out later why he's saying that, fentanyl and meth being in his system. So it was tough that way. The Breonna Taylor situation, I can't lie, Chance. I have some reservations about that one. I think I see problems on both sides with that one. And especially with the police officer that fired his weapon blindly firing his weapon inside a domicile. That's a no-no all day, every day. The first thing you're taught when you have a firearm, or if you are being taught by an instructor or an academy, you need to know what your target is and also what is beyond the target. You don't just fire a weapon inside or in an area or in a direction where you don't know where your bullets or rounds may land. Obviously, I do think Breonna Taylor was mixed up in some illegal activity. Now, was she during that time? I don't know. I can't say that. But based on some things I've seen and read, and I've actually seen a little bit of a report about some of the things she may have been mixed up in. Rayshard Brooks, that's all on Rayshard Brooks. I mean, I watched that for 40 minutes. That's all on him. That was a clean shooting. I've actually seen another sheriff from a different jurisdiction also basically say that was a clean shooting. I mean, all Rayshard Brooks had to do was just go to jail. He was drunk.
Yeah, and he also grabbed the
taser.
The taser, and he took down those cops. I mean, like you see him beating the cops up. So, Well, what do you think about this mantra that people are yelling, defund the police? Like, are you speaking with people? Is that prevalent in your community? Is that what they want? I know they did a poll and it was like 86, 87% of Black people in the inner city actually wanted more police in their area than for, they wanted more police, but they want reform of the police instead of defund of the police. So, what do you think about this defund the police?
I mean, the defund police narrative really has no basis. I mean, it's counterintuitive. I mean, there's so much crime going on in this country to the point where we need more police. I've actually heard different people say that we need more police. Now, in terms of training, I think there needs to be some more training. And I think having more police would allow some of these other police, these veteran police, to get a few more days off. I mean, being a police officer is a stressful job. I mean, I've seen my dad. I could go on. We need a 3 hour show. I could tell you a bunch of stories about different calls he's responded to, whether it be a officer involved shooting, a homicide, bodies floating in canals. I could just run the gambit with it. But we don't need less police. Defunding the police will only increase crime. I mean, that's just common sense. I mean, defund the police, that makes no sense. And for folks to actually ask for that, I just don't really think that they're thinking about it. I just think that's their emotions talking.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a question that we did not talk about. What do you,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what about when people say, okay, some of these police officers, like the officer in George Floyd's case, he had like 18 strikes against him. What about the system that's keeping these cops in on the street? And do you think that the unions, because a lot of it is the unions that are keeping these cops on the payroll in the streets, how do you think there could be some reform there?
I mean, once again, you're going to have a bad apple in every bunch, regardless of the profession. And you do have some road cops. You have some cops that, for all intents and purposes, they go out looking for trouble. I've actually encountered a couple of them in college. You know, I went to college in New Orleans, but nothing happened. However, it's you do have those cops, and there needs to be some reform there. After a certain number of incidents that are in your jacket or in your file, either you need to lose your job, or you need to be demoted, or some sort of corrective action needs to take place. I do believe that. This idea that there are no bad cops, that's a myth, but also it's a myth that the cops are just out to get black men, or the cops as a whole collectively are just rogue agents.
So, okay, I'm going to ask you another question. So, what about the police? There's like a they say there's like a secret code of police officers where the partner doesn't tell on what their partner is doing, or else if the partner does say something, then if they go try to get another job somewhere else, then it's no it travels that that partner's a snitch or things like that.
Okay, that does happen. I'll give you an example. With my dad, he had a partner when he was first on. He was, I think, his first or second year on the force, and this partner had made it a habit of what they would refer to back in those times. I don't know if they do it now. Creative writing on the police report, and he would routinely agitate or aggravate certain members of the community. Blacks were his primary target. And my dad said he went to his captain and requested to be moved away from that guy, and he was able to do so. So, once again, you do have that, but it's not so prevalent to the point where we need to defund the police and just take this magic wand and just create a different agency in lieu of the police, because we don't need that.
I agree, but some people listening would say when your father went to the officer or his superior, that cop should have been fired.
Well, I don't know if he was or if he wasn't. Most of the times, what happens with cops like that, they burn out, really quick, because they can't really keep up with what they're doing. Because eventually, if someone does file a report, whether it be harassment or so forth, that looks bad and reflects negatively on the department. I didn't ask about the outcome of that, but I will, and get back to you on that. But maybe he should have been fired. But once again, that's something you have to prove. It's not what you know; it's what you can prove.
That is true. Well, right now it's guilty until proven innocent,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah.
is innocent until is really supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. So, did your father tell you why he wanted to go into law enforcement?
Well, at the time, my dad is he was military. He was a helicopter mechanic, and back growing up in Miami, crime was in the '80s was bad. You had the cocaine cowboy era, and it wasn't anything for a boat to blow up in the bay at any point, and numerous shootouts. My dad's very structured, very disciplined. He wanted to help his community. Growing up, he mentioned to me about being profiled. Sometimes growing up, my dad worked with his dad, who was a masonry, and he made decent money, so he was able to buy himself a nice car. He talked about being profiled, and he wanted to kind of be a part of the solution, to some of that. And my dad was well received in the community, well received. So obviously that, being married and having children, providing a stable home and a stable income, that played a part in it. That was very important to my dad. But he loved his job. He'll tell you to this day, he loved his job.
Yeah, I bet his heart is breaking to see what's happening with the officers now, especially David Dorn. The
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the media really didn't even make a big deal about him. He didn't get a gold covered casket. He didn't get a celebrity paying for his funeral. I believe the only politician really that reached out to him was Trump. But that broke my heart. Like, how old was he? 70, 76, 70, something like that. And he was just, his friend asked him to go check on his pawn shop. And these little kids, one of the boys have been, the judge, he had committed a crime. And the judge was like, you know what? We're going to let you go. And so he was supposed to, I believe, do like a 2 or 3 year time, and the judge let him go. And then he went and committed this crime and allegedly killed David Dorn. So it's just sad. I mean, my heart really broke for that one, and the officer that was guarding in California that just got shot point blank in the head.
Oh, those two. Yeah. But back to David Dorn, I didn't realize David Dorn's wife spoke at the RNC. Um, and I watched her speech later on, and it really brought back the images because I actually saw the Facebook Live post of David Dorn's body
Yeah.
laying on the concrete. And I guess for me, and the reason why the media doesn't run with that is because he was killed at the hand of other black men. See, that doesn't fit the narrative. Now, if it were the other way around, if whites were, if it were black and white, they'd be all over it. But it was very sad. David Dorn served his community, and from what I understand, served it well. And just to see that action spawned because of someone like George Floyd, and I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but at the end of the day, based on what we know about George Floyd is not someone that you would invite in your home, not someone that you probably would befriend. But no one wants to say, talk about those things. But these are just the facts. I mean, once again, not to say, mean that he deserved to die. That's not what I'm saying. But when you make choices in life, there's going to be an outcome, and you have to be aware of the cumulative effect of those little choices. And, people, they fail to think about that. So with David Dorn and the two in California, that was just crazy. And it just kind of been brushed under the rug. No one cares about it, so I guess we just keep trucking on.
Well, I don't want to make this like an overly spiritual conversation, but I was just thinking about in Timothy. In Timothy, I believe it's Second Timothy. It talks about in the last days that there's going to be lawlessness, that children will be disobedient, that the love of many will wax cold, that people and this is what we're seeing right now is lawlessness. That these, I really do think like the kids that killed David Dorn, I reckon to bet that they don't even know who George Floyd was. I think that they were probably opportunists. They saw, and it was over a TV. That is love of many waxing cold. That's just being cold. That's just being not um, caring about another human. And I think because we live in such a where we really don't, America really doesn't value the young and it doesn't value the old. And so you just, if you can't care about the least of those, then how are you going to care about anyone else? And it's just really sad the way our youth is being raised. And then a lot of it, the problem is because a lot of children are being raised in fatherless homes and they're not being taught. Like we talked the other day, like I
Hmm.
don't hear the word pride in the community, not pride, but honor in the community. I hear pride all over the place, but uh,
Yeah.
honor. You don't hear honor, and a lot of people don't even know what honor is. Like even though I'm the age that I am, when I talk to the older ladies in my church, I still refer to them as Miss Irma or Miss Ruth or Miss Beth or Mr. Bob or whatever. There's some type of of respect,
Respect.
honor. So, and I just see like the way that these young kids are talking to adults, they're talking to the police officers. And I told one of my friends that if I was to see my sons out there doing that, I don't know if you remember that clip where there was
In
a boy out
in
there
Maryland, where the mom
came out
started,
there.
yeah, 100%. I remember that. Yeah,
That would be
that
me.
would have been my mom.
Right. I wish I would see my sons out there doing Molotov cocktails and all that. And no, you no, this is not how you're raised. So let me segue into Black Lives Matter. What do you feel about that group?
Oh my jeez. I'm gonna jump on them in a minute. I'm gonna backtrack on something you said. So one of the things they told my dad in the police academy, and he told me this recently. He said that the people you're going to be arresting have not had any home training for the most part. Obviously, it's not a big sweep. There's obviously some anomalies in there. They haven't had any home training, any structure, or haven't been taught how to respect or honor. And it's from age 2 and on up. See, some people think, and I see this with parenting, people think you start raising your kids when they can talk. If you start then, it's too late because
Mm,
these kids develop and they decide and determine who they're going to be at a young age. And when he told me that, I never thought about that. But for the instructor to tell my dad that, and then to see what's going on, and I mentioned this to a friend of mine, I said, "You people expect these people to respect the police? They don't even respect their mama and their daddy. So why would they respect the police? I
yeah.
mean, it really makes no sense." But that's a good point you make. And now to get on Black Lives Matter, I don't even know where to begin. I mean, we spoke about it briefly, and obviously there was a Facebook post we kind of went through. When you first and foremost, I don't need anybody to tell me my Black Lives Matters. That's number one. Um, that's
I,
that's that is. I don't care what color you are, white, black. It doesn't matter to me. I don't need you to tell me my life matters. Secondly, when you research the group and you see these people tell you who you are, who they are, but we're not listening. When you say you want to disrupt the nuclear family, I mean, isn't the nuclear family one of the pressing issues in the black community, or the lack of, having the nuclear family? And when that's our primary issue, and you want to come disrupt that, it's already disrupted. You know, I mean, you should be trying to aid in fixing it. But honestly, I don't even think many of their members know why they're out there. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't think that they do. I think that they just want to be a part of something. It's everybody else is doing it, so let me do it too because I'm black. And then the fact that if you're black and you don't support, because I had a Facebook post that was like dropping an atomic bomb. I said I'm not supporting this because this is nonsense. It's total nonsense, and just the venom that spewed at me. How could I not support it? But when I asked why should I support it, no one could give me anything concrete that would make me change my mind.
well,
I look out here and black businesses are being destroyed. or just the simple fact that Black Lives Matter basically only cares when a white cop kills a black unarmed person. I haven't seen any evidence to support anything otherwise. Have you?
No. And to go back to your point where you're saying that you think these people out here don't really know what they're doing. I think a lot of it is misplaced rage. I think that some of it is that some people just want to go tear up some stuff and they just want to get, but,
You're probably right.
but a lot have a misplaced rage and they're raging against the machine that they don't even know how the constructs of it work, and they don't have any goals. I mean, like if you were to sit down with these kids and say, what is your goal, write down
Uh-huh.
10, and whatever goes, if your goal is to go to college,
Mm-hmm.
riding all night gonna help you get to college? No. So then you can't you can't go riot. And that's
Mm-hmm.
things, they don't have any goals, they don't have any ambitions, and then they've been told that a lot of them, especially the black children, probably are listening to the community saying that you're oppressed, that you're a victim, that America hates you, all this kind of stuff. But the Bible says it all starts in the mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. So if you're hearing this vitriol every day, day after day, and then you don't know the value of ownership, they don't care if they tear up someone else's business, whether it's black, white, or they just think insurance take care of it, but they don't really even understand how insurance works.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
yeah.
it's it's really sad. It's really sad. And then Black Lives Matter, they not only are they Marxists, they are steeped in witchcraft, where they take, I think, some type of religion from Africa, where they call up the names, and one of them was saying that she spoke with some spirit in her living room, and they laugh and talk. And what the Bible says about what is it, necromancy, where they call up spirits. And so yeah, I can't get with that. And like you said, I don't need anyone to tell me that my lives matter. And I tell people that all the time. To me, that is stating that someone else is superior over you if you have to make them say that you matter. The
A
fact
hundred percent.
the very fact that God saw fit to wake me up every morning and my heart is beating lets me know that I matter. And I was sitting here with a purpose, with a goal, which is inside of me to figure out how to get out. And no one that's white, black, Mexican, whatever, is going to stop me. My greatest enemy is me. And if a lot of people realize that, then they wouldn't be out there writing. They would be out there writing their business plan. They would be out there, starting their YouTube channel or
There you
whatever
go.
has let them to do. They would know that they are created valuable in the sight of God, and it would give them a purpose other than to resurrect and not destroy. So
I agree. I mean, but one of my favorite passages in the Bible deals with, you know, what people say. You know, out of thy own mouth thou shalt be condemned, and out of thy own mouth thou shalt be justified. And when I hear Black Lives Matter talk and some of the things that they say, like this is reparations, this company has insurance, you know, or we're taking this so that makes sure we eat and so forth. I thought that was the most ridiculous thing I ever saw in my life. Just like you said, you don't even know how insurance works, and
right.
it's crazy, and that tells you what their motive is. It's just like you said, just pure destruction. Has nothing to do with George Floyd or Black life. It's just pure destruction, misplaced rage, and what's lost in it. And in my opinion, it's a mass of people that can't critically think for themselves. And that's one of our biggest problems in this country.
Well, look at the education system. All you're doing is regurgitating something that someone tells you instead of
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what a child wants to do. If you want to get a kid to go to school, find out what they love to do. If they love to write, put them in writing classes. If they want to be a pilot, put them in aeronautical classes. And I bet
Mm-hmm.
you they would go to school. I mean, they've taken out shop, they've taken out
Mm-hmm.
ec-
Yeah.
they've taken out all that stuff. And I I'm not a fan of college of 4-year universities. I think that if you're going to be a lawyer, doctor, or something like that, then go. But I mean, I have a bachelor's, but I don't. I think that right now they're indoctrination camps to even further indoctrinate from the public school system, and also what we're teaching kids is to go from school, go get in debt, and then go work at a job that you hate and work there for the rest of your life and then retire with two maybe 5 years of good walking and then die. And I'm just not for that. So I think that if we were to do a pipeline from not just college but to entrepreneurship, then I think that a lot more kids would go to school. So
I'm with you. I mean, I feel the same way. I attended Xavier University in Louisiana. When I look back, I say, man, what in the world did I go to college for? I
right,
mean, what was that?
right.
I mean, if I could do it over again, I would do something different. But one of the problems, and a lot of people, a lot of the older generation, they get upset with me when I say this. I say, listen, you guys failed us, during the civil rights era. These folks didn't want you near them, but yet you fought to be by them. Instead of doing that, we should have been building our own stuff and own situation. But yet we wanted to go just eat with them and drink out of the water fountain with them. And because of that, we don't own very much. And that's a problem. And that entrepreneurial spirit isn't fostered like it should have been. And it's a topic that, kind of gets me in trouble, but that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, I think that if more schools taught, like a lot of people who go to trade schools are making more than people right now who have a 4-year degree, even a PhD. Um, but that's just a story for another show. So,
Yeah.
all right. So you told me that you are working on getting your firearm to be a firearm instructor.
Yes, I'm working. I'll actually be in Texas to take my firearm instructor class with the USCCA, which is United States Killed and Concealed Association. I feel I'm a Second Amendment advocate all day, every day. I think that is something that needs to be taught. Uh, Responsible firearm ownership, regardless of color. I think that being able to protect yourself, is vital, and it probably could reduce, some of these interactions with criminals, and just create a safer community. Because I'm telling you, I mean, if you where I live now, if you break into someone's house, it's a very good chance you're going to get shot. Pretty much everyone in my neighborhood I know and other surrounding neighborhoods, they are gun owners. And when I say they are gun owners, they have multiple firearms. So you taking a chance if you plan on getting your reparations, as she so eloquently put it. But um, yeah, that's something that's kind of a passion. I kind of thank COVID-19 for that because I had a lot of free time and asking God for wisdom and a direction. And for me, I want to see, especially in the Black community, responsible firearm ownership, and joining the associations. You got the NRA, National African American Gun Association as well, and you have a few others. So that's something I'm looking forward to.
And then you're also planning on following in your father's footsteps.
I am at the ripe old age of 41, but I'm in good shape, and I know I can give it 20. I do plan on entering into the police academy, and in my mind, if there's something that needs to be done, and I can be a part of a solution and a bridge, do it. And God willing, that's something that I will do and pursue.
All right. So I've seen half your shirt. What does your shirt say?
Oh yeah, we're gonna make America godly again.
All right. All right. I like that. I like
I
that.
do. I do have the other one as well. Make America great again, and we'll wear it, no doubt.
So you're a Trump supporter as well?
100% all day. We'll get my vote.
So, I mean, so do you think that the debates are going to go on tomorrow?
Oh, they will. The debates will go on. If they don't, we know why. I mean, we already know Pelosi doesn't want Joe Biden to go on that stage. I mean, that should tell the American people that something right there. I mean, why don't you want him to go in there? Because he won't sound lucid, when he's on stage. So yeah, I think they'll go on.
Well, I hope that if he wears a transparent ear probe, I hope
Oh,
it malfunctions. They're
I
not.
want.
He has worn one. He's done the teleprompter, and he's done the like the flesh colored earpiece in his ear. And I don't know, but
I saw that. I think I saw that today.
all
Listen,
right.
I don't think that they. I think the Democratic Party knows that they're not going to win. Their job is to stir as much chaos as possible. They know they're not going to win.
All right, Thomas. So I have one last question for you. We kind of talked
Hmm.
about so I tell my kids, if you're right, I will 100% back you, and if you're wrong, then I'm not, and there's going to be consequences, and that's how I feel about the police because I do
Hmm.
like the fact that I can call the police and they'll be here. I've never really had a bad interaction with the police except for the ones when they stopped me for going a little bit over the speed limit in that school zone. But I digress. But so, but what really has irked me is when I see not just some of the unclean killings of the people, but also in this era of these masks and these police officers just going full commie and arresting people for not having a mask on. It's even if they're social distancing, arresting parents for taking their kids to taxpayer funded playgrounds. And I know you saw the video where the police officer came to the lady's house who let her kid, and this was kind of early um, in the pandemic, but the one with the lady getting tased just happened last weekend. So what do you think about that? Because it's clearly a violation of rights, and I think that people who do want to back the blue, when they see stuff like that, it kind of ebbs their view.
Yeah. I would tell any police officer, man, you're towing the line there. I'd have to ask them, and so they could think about it and they could respond. Is this what you endured the police academy for? To arrest people for not wearing a mask? And the reason why I say that is because, as the CDC just recently pointed out, this virus, it's not airborne. And what law are you enforcing? Now you're saying, well, there's a mandate and this, that, and the other. I mean, that's fine, but if they're socially distanced, then what does it matter? And I believe that young lady was sitting with a relative, I would have to
Sitting
say.
with her children,
Okay.
sitting with the
Um,
people who she came with, and she was social distance from the other people, and she was just sitting there.
I think what's going to come out, I mean, I didn't hear the entire interaction, but she probably said something that got that officer ticked off, more than likely, and he went from 0 to 60 in 1.5 seconds. Regardless, she shouldn't have been arrested or tased for not wearing a mask. I mean, that is not a crime from a statute standpoint, based on my knowledge. But I mean, I guess if it's a mandate, some officers are going to enforce it and some aren't. Because I know of plenty that, like in Nashville, I didn't realize Nashville was as blue as it is. They have a serious mandate there. And one officer I know of, he said he would purposely look up in the sky so he wouldn't see anybody without a mask, so he wouldn't feel any sort of necessitate to arrest anybody. But I don't know. I mean, that is you're playing a dangerous game. You want us to back you, but then you're doing this. I mean, it's that's tough.
It is tough. And so let's just say I mean, I know you're planning on going to be a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
How would you reconcile that? You have the powers that be telling you, hey, and to go arrest someone that doesn't have a mask, which is not a constitutional, they can't enforce that really constitutionally. So what is the fine line between an officer following orders on some, I'm not talking, let's just get away from all the Rayshard books and all that, but
Mm-hmm.
someone not wearing a mask and following orders saying to go arrest someone with a mask. What is the fine line with that?
I guess as an officer, you would have to uh, really look at the environment and say, I mean, because you don't know if this person has COVID-19. I mean, that's not your job to know. So, but if you have to enforce this law, I mean, you can have a conversation with the person. And I'm big on speaking to people as far as, you know, you don't have a mask, that's fine, that's your right. Just do me a favor. You know, if you can, just stay close to the people that you came with and just try to stay 6 feet away from anyone else, you know, that you did not come with or you do not know. You know, other than that, it's a needless confrontation, in my opinion, to try to attempt to arrest someone for not wearing a mask.
I agree because I mean, especially at the beginning of the lockdowns, when I started seeing that stuff, my blood was boiling. And one of the things I was like, where's the church at? Where, I mean, I know that's a video for another day, but where is the
Yeah,
church at? I mean, even in all of this, like, and I'm still wondering where the church is, but all right. Thank you so much for speaking with me tonight. And I'm going to have you on again. And
absolutely.
um, I know you said that you're like kind of wavering between starting a YouTube channel. I think that you should. I think a lot of people would respect your opinion, where you come from, your perspective as far as being a um, police officer's son. So thank you again. And for those of you who have tuned in and watched, thank you. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, if you would like to support my channel, there are links below to go to my Teespring store. There's merchandise uploaded daily. And thank you, and y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Chaz. I appreciate it.
Anytime.